Hello and welcome to another episode of the No Nay Never football show and podcast. I'm your host, Natalie Bromley, and this episode we are looking forward to a home tie against Watford, a team looking at pushing themselves into those playoff spots. But the Clarets, still buoyant from that 3-0 victory over local rivals Preston, will be looking to make history. They are looking at 11 consecutive league victories, which will basically be something nobody else has done before. The Clarets will set up as we expect them to, and they will be gunning for 11 victories, 28 consecutive games that they've scored, and another step closer to the Premier League. I'm joined this week by colleagues Rich Steele and George Poole. Let's go. And you know, we like to start our preview of our opponents in the studio, at least, with a look at the standard of their famous fans. Now, Preston didn't do very well in our last preview show with their celebrity fans. There was a little bit of a rubbish list. I think Adam Dennett was very harsh and gave them 3 out of 10. Before we have a look at what list we did manage to pull together for Watford celebrity fans, do either of you know any of these off the top of your head?
Well, there's the most obvious one ever, isn't there? Of course.
I've only got Elton John myself.
Yeah.
He's disqualified from the list because he's their owner, and he's a former owner, is he? He's got an interest in it, so he's not technically a fan. Dave's rules, you know Dave and his rules. Can you think of any others?
I'd have got one other, which will go over both of your guys' head, but a guy called Lionel Burney, who's a cycling journalist, so that'd be gone for me. But other than that, I wouldn't have got any.
Go on, Rich, who have you got? Go on.
I've got Chris Stark, who was a Radio 1 presenter.
Yes,
and
well done.
Stephen Finn, ex-England Test cricketer.
Yes, both of those on the list. Well, let's go through this one. At number 1 on the list, heavyweight boxer, Watford born, but it does also have a soft spot for Arsenal, is Anthony Joshua. Jerry Halliwell.
He has a soft spot in the ring as well, soft spot in the ring.
Oh, gosh. George getting straight in there. Jerry Halliwell, former Spice Girl, also born in Watford. She's a Watford fan. You can tell this is a Dave Statman Roberts list, can't you? Coming in third, Rich has already mentioned it, and fourth, Chris Stark and Stephen Finn. Number 5, Brian Conley, comedian, singer and TV presenter. And number 6, Adam Leventhal, broadcaster and journalist. Rich, what are you giving Watford fans out of 10 for that list?
It's a good list, isn't it? I've never seen Anthony Joshua like at a Watford game or wear a Watford shirt, really. But I really like going from me and George both like our cricket. Stephen Finn has took a few wickets in when England won that famous tour in Australia. He got dropped for the Boxing Day Test match, but anyway, we're going off track. Listen, you've got, even though Dave hasn't, you've got to include Elton John because he is like a super fan, isn't he? Of course you have. He's like a bigger.
I don't make the rules. You know what Dave's like. You know what Dave's like.
Dave's not here to defend himself live.
Very true.
So you've got to include Elton John, and he brought the club, saved them from the brink, got him. So if I'm including Elton John, and I love Elton John, big fan of his music, I'm going to go 9 out of 10 because Anthony Joshua for me is not a proper fan. Because Elton John is just a legend, innit? He is like a historic figure. Like,
and you've got a Spice Girl in there, for God's sake.
Yeah, but she's married to that Christian Arne, who's
yes, but she's still a Spice Girl, and she's the Spice Girl.
I do like this. I don't mind a bit of the Spice Girls. Viva Forever.
Oh, Viva Forever! I love that song. George, what are you giving them?
I tend to agree with Rich on this one. Dave, I'm sorry, but don't go breaking my heart. Elton's in 7 out of 10.
7 out of 10. Well, I'm going to split you in the middle then and moderate this score and give them 8 out of 10. And we have spent a disproportionate amount of time and energy on that section, but well done, Watford fans. You get 8 out of 10 for your celebrity stats. Referee news for you then, for all of you who like to know who's going to be in the middle of the park. Another Lancashire-based official, Lee Doherty of Freckleton, will have the whistle for the match at Turf Moor this Tuesday evening. This will be the third. You do know him, do you? Oh,
I do.
Have a word.
I coached with him.
Really?
I did.
Amazing.
I did. And he was the ref at Rotherham who everyone criticised for his lack of.
He was.
But he had it on 10 minutes. No, he's a really nice guy actually. But we'll see how
Excellent.
he gets. He's got
Look
to
at
be
this.
better than that man we had on
Oh
Saturday.
my God.
Jesus, wet.
He actually completed more passes than I think the midfield of Preston's. Get out the
I
way.
don't mind refs getting the odd, a few decisions wrong, but he just didn't have an understanding of, like, we broke in that second half. Obafemi was like clean through, and he just blew up twice. He even tried to retake a quick free kick that he got given. Oh my God, he frustrated me.
Terrible.
Jesus.
Anyway, moving back on to referees. Yes, he's going to be taking, Lee Doherty is going to be taking his third Burnley match this season. The other two were both Burnley wins, both at Turf Moor, one of which Rich has already mentioned, which is that 3-2 home win over Rotherham, and the other one is a 2-0 home win over Millwall at the end of August. Now, he should at least be credited for adding a reasonable amount of time on at the end of the Rotherham match, with Burnley managing to score twice to come from behind and win in the 10 added minutes. Looking ahead to the game then, we are, of course, 10 wins on the bounce, scored in 27 consecutive games, flying high at the top of the league. Watford come to Turf Moor on Tuesday night, a much tougher opposition than some of the teams in the Championship that we've met. Still got expectations and hopes themselves to get a playoff place. They've got some strong players in their squad who can create moments of magic, as Rich said earlier, who can cause us problems, but we haven't yet lost at home. Rich, bearing all of that in mind, what are you expecting from Tuesday's game?
Yeah, so I'm expecting it to be tougher, but I still think we'll win. Not that I'm very, very confident we'll win. From when you look at the squads on pre-season, you felt Watford would have been right up there, but they seem a team of individuals to me. It doesn't help. Listen, they've had two managers this season. I think I'm correct in Rob Edwards and Bilic, which is quite good for Watford, actually. And like I said, they are a team which can hurt you. They've got some outstanding players. I think Sarr's obviously a very good player, but there is a reason why somebody's still not really gone full throttle in to get him, possibly. João Pedro's just come back from injury. I've heard they signed a lad called Ryan Porteous from Hibs, who by all accounts has played very well since he's made his debut. So it will be more challenging. I think defensively we'll have to be on it a little bit more. But yeah, you just, like you said, at Turf Moor, we're just so good. And I think the difference is between us and Watford is we've got great individuals, but those individuals buy into a team and buy into a process, and they're together. Where I still see Watford as, and I think they've been this for a while, individuals that just make up a team. And, looking at the squad, they shouldn't be, 20 plus points behind us, but they are. And George made a point before in the chat where obviously they beat us 1-0. I think that was the last league game we didn't score in. But we're a completely different outfit then. And let's be honest, that night we was unlucky to lose the game. Like you look at that
second half, we battered him.
Yeah, when you look at the team that night, Bastian and Costello were starting on the wings, and McNally was coming on as a utility striker. And where we are now, it is we're just a completely different entity as a team. So, listen, you always have those slight concerns, don't you? But I just think it'll be the same again. We'll just get into our pattern of play, start knocking it about, mixing it up, and I'm just expecting another enjoyable evening, to be honest. And like you said, Natalie, love will be in the air.
Oh, love will be in the air.
Not in the Steele household because she's getting left. But anyway, she'll have to cope, won't she?
It is in the Bromley household, but mainly because I'm dragging mine along with him. It's quite a very quick, hilarious story. The very first Valentine's Day that me and Mr. Bromley ever had, a long time ago now, was delayed by 24 hours because on the Tuesday night, Burnley were at home to Wolves, and I wasn't available for Valentine's Day. Not a big fan of it anyway, but that's another story. We digress. George, that pattern that Rich was talking about then, about finding our stride and just following the blueprint. We've seen this a lot this season, and that pattern is very much calm, possession-based football in the first half. We don't go for the kill. If we score a goal, great. If we can score a second goal, fine. But even on Saturday against Preston, when they were there for the taking, we'd still only scored one. We never really turned the screw because we are passing the ball around, making the opposition run around, tiring them out mentally and physically. And then we move into second gear and we go for the kill in the second half. That's not going to be as straightforward against Watford. We've already talked about that. And I think probably the biggest change that we'll have to make on Tuesday is tightening up a little bit in defence. I don't think we can be having Muric playing in midfield against Watford, surely.
I guess we'll just have to see. I feel like a lot of Watford's game is more naturally suited to a counter-attacking style play. So I think it's something we'll have to keep in mind. You know, I think at the weekend against Preston, I think it was most obvious when we had an attacking corner. And I noticed when we were attacking the cricket field end, Preston didn't even have a single player outside of their box defending, which meant we as a team had Muric stood on their side of the centre circle, and Maatsen was floating on the edge of the box ready to shoot up to pick up a chance. That won't be the same against Watford. They'll be set up to counter. Like we said, they've got this Pedro, they've got Sarr, they've got fast players that could theoretically hurt us on the break. But I think it'd be an interesting test. I think it'll be a kind of game where you say rightly that we turn the screw in the second half and hopefully we'll have tied them in the first half. Because I thought the same going into Preston, to be fair. I feel like it'd be a game where it'll be a tight affair, 0-0 half time, second half, we can turn on the afterburners and it'll be 2-0 to us in the end. But it's a really interesting game for me. Watford are the only team this season to have stopped us from scoring. And we can talk about we were unlucky, we had a worse team. They stopped us from scoring at the end of the day. So since then, we've gone 27 games, scoring every game. It won't be easy on Tuesday. Watford are a good side, and they've not won in the last 4, so they've really got to turn up on Tuesday. So it all makes for what should be an interesting game. And I'm saying interesting because I have all confidence that we'll win. So it's not interesting in we'll lose. Like we'll still win, but it'd be quite an interesting game.
Yeah, no, I agree. Rich, from a central midfield perspective, is this the game that you bring Jack Cork in? Are you sticking to your guns that he who has the shirt is his to lose, and do you start with Gudmundsson?
I think the only issue with JBG is can he play? Can he play 2? I don't think he played 90 minutes, but can he start 2 games in like 3 days? And as good as Gudmundsson was, I don't, he didn't put a massive kind of shift in. I wouldn't say, did he? Really, he wasn't running up and down box to box. So, me personally, if Gudmundsson's kind of fine, I'd be happy to play the same team. But this is the great thing, isn't it, Natalie? If Cork does come back in, for maybe a little bit more solidity, like George says, on the counter attack and whatnot. One thing I have enjoyed with Cork not being in the team is kind of watching Brownhill play a bit more of that number 8 role. I think Brownhill lost his way a little bit playing number 10. He was still very effective, breaking up the play and stuff, but you can really see where he's playing now. He's a lot more comfortable to me, and I think you started to see the best of him again. He was getting goals at the start of the season, but in my opinion, I'll probably be proven wrong if he plays number 10 on Tuesday. I don't think he's quite technically good enough in and around those tight spaces where Gudmundsson can take the ball in tight areas and not lose it. And he's a bit more of an intelligent footballer in those situations for me. But Brownhill offers you a kind of a different role in that number 10. But listen, if Jack Cork comes in midfield, is anyone going to complain because he's such a top player?
No.
But I think Barnes will be fine. I don't think he dislocated his hand. I think he'd really be struggling. I think it's more his finger, wasn't it?
Oh, was it his finger? Oh, okay,
yeah,
fine.
I think if he dislocated his hand, I definitely don't think he'd be playing because that'd be that'd be very, very bad. So I think
is that even possible? I think I might have made that up. I'm creating medical problems. This is what happens on the show.
Yeah, obviously your fingers are easy to dislocate, but I think unless there's an injury that happens between now and then where a player's pulled up, I think that's the only question, isn't it? Is does kind of Cork come in for Gudmundsson? Yeah, I still don't think Twine's quite ready yet. As much as I like him and how I enjoyed him scoring that free kick. I don't think he's quite ready maybe yet for starting berth, and I don't think Obafemi will start or Foster will start yet. So yeah, I think it's between Twine or Gudmundsson. Cork or Gudmundsson.
Yeah.
And I think it just depends how Gudmundsson kind of pulls up, doesn't it? Maybe that was the plan to start Gudmundsson Saturday, Cork on Tuesday with a bit of forward thinking.
Oh.
I don't know. Maybe I'm playing too much 3D VK, Guardiola type chess stuff.
And why not?
But yeah.
Who'd have thought we'd be saying that? George, you want to give me a quick score prediction then, please?
Absolutely. Like I say, sorry, I was just rushing, you see, then just to go and look at our team from when we played Watford away, because I'd made a mental note that we didn't have Cork. We didn't have Cork that game. I remember at the time I was thinking he was on the bench and he was just coming back from a slight injury, I believe, at the time, if I got it right. And I remember at the time thinking, and a lot of people were saying, that's what happens when Cork doesn't play. And so I really do buy into that, thinking that Cork, he was back for Saturday, but let's play Goodmanson with the freedom of, we can play Brownhill a bit deeper. He's not as good defensively as Cork, but we'll have the freedom. So
we did also start Bastian, who I'm going to start nicknaming Casper because he just goes around and floats about when he plays.
Ooh.
No, I'm joking. I don't mind Sammy B, but yeah,
Sammy B.
So just he's all right, isn't he, Sammy? But yeah, I know what you mean,
squad
George.
player. He's not a starter.
If I was to put my 10p on it, which I've not got at the moment, thanks to this government, because I've not got loads of money, but if I was going to put a little bit of a 10p on, I would go Cork will start, and I think I'm with you, George, in that camp.
Right. Well, since the mic's back with you, Rich, do you want to give me your score prediction? Then we'll go back to George.
Sorry, George, interrupt. I don't know.
I've lost all control of this show. It's fine. I love it. Go on. What's your score prediction?
Comfortable
2-0. George?
And 2-0 for me. I feel like the gods are going to be with us in that. Ashley Barnes is going to get a well-deserved goal on Tuesday. He should have got one against Preston, but the keeper made a good save. So Barnes to score and also Zarori to score, because I thought he played really well against Preston as well.
Excellent. Your Bromers bankers for this Watford game. Victorious for the second time this season. Bromers bankers be like buses. And again, very quick thank you to our good friend Andrew Blythe, who has been putting his free bet on Bromers bankers this season, and all proceeds, all of his winnings have been donating to Burnley FC Community Kitchen, the food bank. So Andrew, it's an incredibly generous gesture, and we're really, really, really grateful. If you do want to do the same, please gamble responsibly. Please use free bets where you can. Or if not, don't bet at all, because I very rarely get these right. Don't be lulled into a false sense of security, because I've got two. But your Bromers bankers for this week is 2-1 to the Clarets. I think that Watford will score. And I think it'll be a much tighter game than we used to. So I'm going to go 2-1. Before we finish off, then, we are going to give you Dave Statman Roberts a miscellaneous stat of the week. He's been with us in the preview studio this week to give us this little nugget. Here we are, listeners. Here is this week's stat of the week. Saturday's victory over Preston North End was Burnley's 20th league win of the current campaign, with 8 draws and just 2 defeats in the 30 championship matches so far this season. The club record of 26 wins in a league campaign, which was set in the championship promotion season of 2013-14, and then equalled in our championship title winning season of 15-16, must surely be yet another record-breaking records that's in the sight of Vincent Kompany anyway. He's got to be breaking records for fun at the moment, essentially. It's going to require just 7 more wins from the remaining 16 league games to add yet another record to this incredible current chapter in the history of Burnley Football Club. There we go. Who knows? Well, I'm going to leave you with a quiz question. George thinks we're going to win 13 out of those 16 games. That's a bold prediction, George. I
think we'll win all of them.
Oh, good Lord, good grief. Listeners, we're just getting ahead of ourselves on the show, and why not? Let me leave you with a quiz question before we go, listeners. After winning the reverse fixture 1-0 at Vicarage Road, Watford have had an opportunity to become the first team to do the league double over Burnley this season. Sheffield United, who won 5-2 at Bramall Lane, are the only other team who could potentially manage this feat this season. What do we want to know? We want to know, can you name the only team to do the league double over Burnley in either of our 2 previous championship promotion seasons, which is 2013-14 and 2015-16. Listeners, you can tweet us your answers. You can leave a comment on your Facebook page, on our Facebook page. Don't put it on your own. I probably won't see it. Or you can email us at previewshow@nonanever.net, and we will give you the answers ahead of the Luton game. That is all we've got time for. We have previewed the Watford game. We have looked back at that fantastic victory against Preston North End, and we are looking forward to breaking records left, right and centre. Thank you to everybody who has contributed to making this episode. We will be back next week with a look ahead to Luton, and we'll discuss basically what happened away at home to Watford on Valentine's Day. Take care of yourselves in the meantime. I've been Natalie Bromley. This has been the No Nay Never podcast. Until next time. The No Nay Never podcast is brought to you in association with the TalkSport Fan Network. Natalie Bromley is the host and editor, and the show is produced by Matt Moss. Our resident statistician is Dave Roberts, and our FPL expert is Adam Dennett. The Analysis Show team is collectively Tom Whittaker, Richard Steele, George Poole, Charlotte Rigby, Adam Dennett and Robbie Kopak. Our music is provided by George Gaskill, and our newsletter team is headed up by Jamie Smith. If you don't already, you can subscribe to our newsletter by visiting nonaynever.substack.com. Our thanks as ever go to our partners TalkSport. We are as ever proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network.